So, have you ever found yourself trying really hard to do something perfectly and then it just completely backfired?
Oh, absolutely. We've all been there, right?
Yeah. Whether it's like giving a presentation or learning something new, maybe even just trying to fall asleep, sometimes focusing so hard on the how just messes up the what.
Exactly. And today we're diving into some really fascinating insights that get behind that, the secrets to real peak performance. It's all about mastering your mind.
Sounds good.
Yeah, we've got some incredible stuff here. It really challenges the usual thinking on like practice, concentration, how our brains actually learn things.
Okay.
So our mission basically is to pull out those core ideas, help you understand how to get more consistent, avoid those common mental traps, and, really make new skills stick for good.
And where are we pulling this from today?
We're looking at excerpts from Chapter 4, Part 2, Concentration, Keeping Your Head in Play. Now, it uses golf quite a bit for examples.
Right, golf examples.
But honestly, the principles, they're universal. They apply to pretty much anything you want to get better at. So yeah, get ready to maybe rethink some things about focus. Could be some real aha moments here.
Okay, let's dig in. So
Yeah.
the sources talk about some simple, like, everyday things first to build that basic focus and calm. First one seems to be breathing.
Yeah, breathing. But it's specific. It's this deep, diaphragmatic, rhythmic breathing. Breathing from your belly, nice and steady.
Not just shallow chest breathing.
Exactly. And the idea isn't just, oh, I'll take a deep breath when I'm stressed. It's about weaving it into your day, like aiming for maybe 60 or 70 deep breaths daily.
60 or 70? Wow, how do you even do that?
Well, you pair it with routine stuff, like let the phone ring twice before you answer, take a breath, walking through a doorway breath, applying the brakes in your car breath.
Okay. Little cues.
Right. And it's not just for relaxing in the moment. It's described as a foundational mental exercise. It helps keep your nervous system balanced, which is huge for performing under pressure.
Okay, that makes sense. And then there's the way we talk to ourselves, that inner voice.
Huge topic. We all have it, right? That running commentary in our heads.
Definitely. Sometimes it's not very nice.
Well, that's the key question the source raises for you, the listener. Is that voice inside your head like a supportive coach? Or is it more like a harsh critic tearing you down?
Oof. Good question.
Yeah, and the source really stresses how important it is to cultivate that supportive inner dialogue. Talking to yourself like you would talk to a good friend.
Gently, encouragingly.
Exactly. It encourages you, but it also relaxes you. It builds that foundation for mental resilience. Sounds simple maybe, but it's powerful stuff.
So putting these together, it's about focusing on right now, not getting lost in the future or the past.
Precisely. Bringing your focus to the present moment, not letting your mind race ahead.
Like you mentioned earlier with sleep. That's a classic example for me, mind racing.
It is. And the advice on sleep really ties into this bigger picture. It's super insightful.
How so?
Well, think about what most of us do when we wake up in the middle of the night. We look at the clock, right?
Yep. Instantly calculate how much sleep I didn't get.
Exactly. Or how much you need to get to function tomorrow. But all that calculation, that future worry, it just ramps up your nervous system. It actually wakes you up more.
Huh. Never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
So what's the alternative?
Focus purely on the present. Set your alarms, sure, but then turn the clock away. Don't look at it.
Okay.
Feel your body getting heavy in the bed. Feel yourself sinking down. And then come back to that deep diaphragmatic breathing. Just be aware of the breath coming in, going out.
Mindful awareness, not anxious math problems.
You got it. It's about being present, not projecting into some worried future.
Okay, this is great foundational stuff.
Yeah.
Now, how does this translate to, well, the source calls it on-course concentration, but let's think about any performance situation.
Right. These examples are very practical, very actionable for any time you're performing. The first tip in golf terms is don't get score conscious.
Easier said than done, though,
Yeah.
right? Especially when it matters.
It is hard, absolutely, but that's why it's so important. Nothing yanks you out of the present moment faster than obsessing about the outcome, the final score.
So what do you focus on instead?
A source says, play one shot, one action at a time. It even suggests this interesting technique. Use your scorecard, or just mentally, rank each shot or action on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 is perfect execution.
Okay.
And set your goal as hitting a 10 on every single action. See how that shifts the focus. It's not about the total score anymore. It's about executing this specific task right now as well as you possibly can.
Right, focusing on the process, not the result. And what about routines? People talk about routines all the time for consistency.
They're definitely important.
Yeah.
But your point is good. How do we make sure they help focus instead of just being another mechanical thing to stress over?
Yeah.
Well, a good, consistent routine, like a pre-shot routine in golf, or maybe how you prepare right before speaking it, cues the same internal state, the same external actions every time.
Creates a familiar zone.
Exactly. It helps you focus only on the thing you're about to do. It often involves moving from a wider focus, like, okay, what's the situation, the context, to a really narrow laser focus as you actually start. It builds that mental space for performing.
Okay, so if we're not worrying about the score, not getting bogged down in mechanics, what is the focus point? The source mentions a player, Meg Mallon.
Ah, yes. Great example.
She said when she's playing her absolute best, she's focusing right down to the leaf on the tree she's aiming at. That is incredibly specific.
It is, and it perfectly illustrates the power of external focus. Your attention is locked onto something outside yourself, a precise target.
Not on your own body or thoughts.
Right. And linked to this, the source strongly warns against analyzing your technique during the performance. Sam Snead had that great quote, "Dance with the one you brought."
I like that.
Yeah. Analyzing your swing or your presentation style or whatever that belongs in practice on the lesson tee. When it's game time, it's about execution, trying to fix things mid-flow, usually a recipe for disaster.
Okay, that makes sense. Don't tinker under pressure. And the breathing, does that keep going even in the heat of the moment?
Absolutely. It's a continuous tool. That deep diaphragmatic breathing before, during, after the performance, it helps keep that nervous system arousal low, manageable.
So you can think clearly.
Exactly. It helps you purposefully direct your focus where you want it on the task at hand. And this works together with practicing like quiet movement and mindfulness, being present, minimizing distractions.
And being less emotional about mistakes.
Yes, trying to be non-emotional, kind of dispassionate about the outcome of any single action. If something goes wrong, you acknowledge it, maybe, but then you bring your thoughts right back to the present task. And that supportive self-talk we mentioned, crucial here too, helps you stay patient, manage frustration.
Okay, this next part feels like a really big one. A warning, almost.
Yeah.
Jack Nicklaus calling focus on swing mechanics as bad a mental mistake as you can make. I mean, that's huge coming from him. It goes against everything I thought improving was about.
It really does, doesn't it? It's counterintuitive for so many of us. And what's fascinating is seeing how many top players actually fell into this exact trap.
Like who?
Well, Johnny Miller, another PGA Tour champion, he observed that video analysis, which seems like it should help, right, could actually kill a swing.
How?
Pros would watch themselves, see something they didn't like visually, even if they were playing well, then try to fix it, and boom, problems started. Miller said he wished he could tell his younger self, hey, it's my swing, maybe it looks quirky, who cares? It must be beautiful because the ball flew beautifully.
Wow. Focusing on the result, the feel, not the look.
Exactly. And he pointed out that some of the most consistent players ever, Billy Casper, Lenny Watkins, Arnold Palmer, Bruce Lickey, they actually knew very little about the technical details of their own swings.
Really? They just did it.
Pretty much. Miller flat out says the secret of golf is not the swing. He became convinced that you score well at the highest level because you're at peace.
At peace. Not because your elbow's in the perfect position. That's profound.
It really shifts the perspective, doesn't it? It highlights how critical that mental state is. And there are more stories reinforcing this. Think about Sandy Lyle. Wins the Masters, sees his swing on tape afterwards, thinks it looks awful, starts tinkering.
And it went downhill.
Spiraled, lost his confidence, his consistency. Or Bob Tway won the PGA Championship in '86, then admitted he monkeyed with my swing and got worse.
Ouch.
Yeah. Tway said later, I never knew how big confidence was until I didn't have any. It's a stark warning about overanalysis leading to self-sabotage.
And there were others. David Frost, Greg Norman.
Strikingly similar stories. Both went to the same very famous instructor, became super mechanical, focused on positions. Frost said he found himself trying to eliminate all swing thoughts, neutralize my mind, just get back to playing, not thinking.
Norman.
Norman described completely losing the feel of what he was doing, said it took him almost a year to get his consistency back after he ditched that mechanical method and went back to his natural feel. They were actively trying to unlearn the analysis.
Okay, so the big question then is why? Why does focusing on mechanics during performance cause so many problems?
The source offers a pretty compelling explanation. It suggests that focusing on mechanics is primarily a left brain activity.
The analytical side.
Right. Logical, sequential, often verbal. But peak performance in complex motor skills relies on the right brain, or at least on automatic, intuitive, nonverbal processes. The two interfere.
Ah, they conflict.
Exactly. It's like that famous story about the centipede. Someone asks it, how do you walk with all those legs in perfect coordination? And as the centipede starts thinking about it, trying to analyze the mechanics, it stumbles and falls over.
Can't walk and think about walking at the same time.
Precisely. You cannot be consciously thinking about mechanics and performing that skill fluidly and effectively simultaneously. The conscious analysis disrupts the automatic flow.
That centipede analogy is sticking with me.
Wow.
And Bobby Jones summed it up too.
He did, powerfully. He said, concentrating on the results of a golf shot to the absolute exclusion of all other thoughts, especially about its method, is the secret to every good shot I ever hit.
Exclude thoughts about the method. Okay.
And Shi Rodriguez, another great player, told a story about losing his putting touch entirely when he tried to break it down step by step to write an article about it. He realized putting wasn't mechanics, it was, in his words, a state of mind.
State of mind,
What?
not a checklist.
Exactly. There's another great illustration, Ed Grant's signature exercise. Think about signing your name. It's automatic, right? Effortless.
Yeah, I don't think about it at all.
Now imagine trying to carefully copy your own signature, looking closely at every line, every curve, the length of each stroke.
Oh, it looked terrible. Stilted and shaky.
Right. The quality falls apart immediately when you shift from automatic execution to conscious analysis. The idea is that your golf swing or playing a musical piece or any complex skill should ideally be as automatic and fluid as your signature.
Like experienced drivers versus new drivers.
Perfect analogy. New drivers are often jerky, oversteering, because they're focused on the mechanics, hand position, pedal pressure. Experienced drivers, their focus is way down the road, on the target, and the driving itself is largely automatic.
Okay, so if analyzing mechanics during performance is out, how do we actually get better? How do we improve without falling into that trap? The sources talk about the anatomy of learning.
They do, and it ties into some fascinating brain science. Think about how an infant's brain develops. It looks like a tree growing, right? Branching out, forming complex patterns.
Yeah.
Well, research shows that learning new skills physically changes our nervous system in a similar way. As you learn, actual structural changes happen in the neural pathways, the wiring of your brain. New branches form, connections strengthen.
So learning is literally building something in your brain.
Exactly. And these changes represent repetition. Lots and lots of repetitions of the desired behaviors, from simple actions to complex sequences. That's why lessons that involve drills, practice, repeating the right things over and over. That's your best bet for making changes that actually last. You're physically building the pathways.
Okay, so what about those moments in practice where you suddenly feel like, aha, I've got it? Are those the pathways locking in? I know I felt that, but then poof, it's gone the next day.
Yeah, that's a really common experience, and the source actually warns us that those I've got it moments can be a bit misleading.
Oh, how so?
Because real, durable change, truly overriding old habits and building robust new pathways, takes significant time and repetition. Think about Nick Faldo. He took 2 years to completely rebuild his swing. He was literally rebuilding the neurocircuitry in his brain.
2 years.
Or Greg Norman, when he wanted to go back to his old swing. It took him 6 or 7 months just to reactivate and strengthen those previous pathways.
Wow, that really puts it in perspective.
It does. And it explains why many instructors say it's actually easier to teach a complete beginner than someone who's played for 15 years with ingrained bad habits.
Because those bad habits are physically wired in.
Exactly. They have a strong structural representation in the brain. You're not just correcting a thought, you're fighting established neural architecture.
Okay, so the clear message for listeners is there are no magic bullets, right? No instant fixes for deeply ingrained skills or habits.
Absolutely not. You can't just prune your brain's branches like garden trees. Improvement comes from consistent work. Daily drills, maybe even simple ones at home, plus dedicated practice. That's how you groove the new pattern.
Repetition, repetition, repetition.
That's the key. For mental routines, too, not just physical ones. You have to rehearse the new way of doing things, the new way of thinking, over and over in different situations. You need enough repetition so the new learning eventually overrides the old circuitry.
And that allows it to work under pressure, not just on the practice range.
That's the goal, to generalize the learning from a low-stress practice environment to high-stakes situations like a competition or an important presentation. That takes time and varied practice.
Okay, so within that practice, what about something like the practice swing? A lot of us just kind of wave the club around. How do we make that actually useful for learning?
Great question. A practice swing or any kind of preparatory rehearsal is vital, but only if you use it intentionally. It really serves two main purposes.
Okay, what are they?
First, it helps you retrieve the desired movement pattern from your memory. You're calling up the program, so to speak. Second, and maybe more importantly, it gives you a rehearsal of the ideal feeling you want for the actual shot or
The
action.
feeling, not just the look of it.
Exactly. The
Hmm.
source strongly recommends taking a practice swing or doing a mental rehearsal before every single shot or action, whether you're practicing or performing. And the key is to focus your concentration intensely on the feeling of that practice movement.
And if it doesn't feel right,
Do it again. Take another practice swing until it feels the way you want it to feel. Then your goal is to immediately try and replicate that exact feeling when you perform the action for real.
like carrying the feeling over.
Precisely. You hold on to that feeling, maintain your target focus, and crucially, have no mechanical thoughts during the actual execution. Just trust the feeling you just rehearsed.
Is this like how we hear about tour players feeling the distance on putts, or feeling the sand shot before they even step into the bunker?
That's exactly it. They're using that immediate short-term kinesthetic memory. They rehearse the feeling, then trust it on the actual shot.
Okay, and tension is the enemy of this feel.
Big time. The source reminds us that increased grip pressure or any kind of physical tension creates more of a hitting impulse rather than a smooth swing or motion. It interferes massively with that delicate feel or touch, especially in finesse situations.
So stay relaxed to feel it properly.
Yes. Think about it. Peak performers almost always describe their best moments as feeling effortless, smooth, easy. Focus on remembering and recreating that feeling of effortlessness in your own practice and performance.
This whole deep dive really drives home that mastery isn't about finding some quick fix or a perfect technique overnight, is it? It's a long game, like Byron Nelson's story.
Absolutely. That Byron Nelson example is fascinating. Looking at his diary from 1935, his scoring average was, 74.806. He had plenty of rounds in the 80s or even higher.
So he wasn't always the legend we remember.
Not at all. But his performance improved steadily, consistently over a whole decade. By 1944, his average was down under 70, and then came 1945, that unbelievable record-breaking year, 11 straight wins, 19 total, average of 68.33.
Wow, so that streak didn't come out of nowhere.
No, the source suggests success is like a tall ladder. There are struggles at every rung. Nelson climbed that ladder for 10 years. He was clearly poised for that incredible run after all that patient work. It wasn't sudden magic.
And even Bobby Jones, another giant. He had to learn the mental side, too. It wasn't just about his swing.
Right. Early in his career, people described him as a phenomenal ball striker. Technically brilliant, but a poor competitor. He'd apparently lose big leads in major tournaments. Choke under pressure.
Huh. Even Bobby Jones.
Yep. The source says it took him years of repeated competitive experience, learning from those failures, to figure out how to compete differently, how to manage himself mentally later in his career. Hearing about Jones's early struggles,
Yeah.
it kind of makes sense. I remember trying to learn, say, a new piece of music, those first attempts, just pure panic in my head, just like him losing those leads probably felt.
It's a very relatable part of the learning curve, isn't it? That initial struggle. So how do we build that kind of mental toughness, that concentration? Gary Player had something to say about it.
He did, and his words really hit home. He said something like, concentration takes years of practice to acquire. It's difficult to come by and easy to lose. And then he added that a key part of developing it is self-discipline.
So it's not passive. It requires constant effort.
An ongoing commitment, yeah. You have to keep working at it.
And things outside the performance itself, they can derail everything, like the Tiger Woods story.
Oh, absolutely. That's a powerful example. The 1996 PGA Championship's second round, he shot a 78, which was very unlike him even then. Why? He'd spent the morning at the hospital with his father.
So his mind was somewhere else entirely.
Completely. Miles away from the golf course. It just shows how vital it is to try and minimize those major off-course distractions when you need to perform. Your mental energy needs to be focused.
So bringing it all together, what's the final message here?
I think ultimately the message is really clear. Consistent, mindful practice focusing on both the on-course, in-performance strategies and those off-course foundational habits like breathing and self-talk. That's what builds mental strength.
And focusing on the present, the target.
Yes. Unwavering focus on the present moment and your external target, not on internal mechanics or future outcomes. It's really about cultivating habits that let you override that tendency to overthink, to get anxious, and instead allow you to trust the skills you've already ingrained. Trust the flow.
Wow. Okay, what an incredible deep dive. We covered a lot from belly breathing and being kind to yourself in your head, all the way to brain science and why even legends like Nicholas warned against overthinking mechanics.
Yeah, and if we try to boil it down, connect it to the bigger picture, the real core takeaway seems to be that consistent top-level performance. It's not just about having perfect technique. It's profoundly about focus, about presence, and about trusting the abilities you've built up.
Trying to control every tiny little detail can actually backfire. It can block that very flow, that effortlessness we're all looking for.
Exactly. Remember, your brain builds those pathways through repetition, through doing, not just through intellectual analysis. So maybe stop chasing that mythical perfect form or the quick fix.
And
Instead, practice the feeling of success. Use those drills. Use those mindful practice swings or rehearsals to lock in the sensation of doing it right.
so, important question for you. Where in your own life could be work, a hobby, maybe a personal challenge? Where might you be getting stuck overanalyzing the how?
And in doing so, maybe losing sight of the what, the actual goal you're trying to achieve, something to think about.
Definitely something to think about. We really hope this deep dive gave you some useful nuggets, some things you can apply in your own world. Keep practicing those deep breaths. Maybe try talking to yourself a bit more like a friend.
And trust your instincts. Trust the work you've put in.
Absolutely. Until next time, keep digging, keep learning, and keep thriving.